What is going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 27 of the Laugh to Learn podcast, your weekly source for a comedic spin on all the goings on in the world. My name is Jacob Paveo, and I come to you from the Great White North every single Tuesday evening, although right now it's the Great Green North, that is Canada, of course. Eastern Standard Time, fresh for download to listen to at work on Wednesday morning for everyone the world around. This podcast, as always, comes to you completely ad-free, and all that I ask is for you to subscribe on any podcasting platform or over there on YouTube and tell your friends about me in person and with a share over on social media. Folks, today's episode is a fun one. We are going to be starting with some asteroid bits, actually they're comet bits, falling from the sky, the Perseid's meteor shower, which is going to be awesome to talk about. Then, as always, I'm going to get into some fun things from the week, 2 short stories to tell you about that'll hopefully have you laughing. And finally, I'm going to give a bit of my own perspective on some stuff that broke today with Chris Cuomo from CNN going on this rant in a restaurant. I don't really want to talk about that, but there's an interesting tweet about it that opens up a whole can of worms on the female perspective in the media and how it is looked at today. So I didn't write anything about that. I'm going to rant about it, but we're going to get to that in the next hour. So strap in, get ready, because as always, what am I saying? Why do I even say this every week? This is going to be a good one. Hey, check it out. It's the Laugh to Learn podcast. Folks, I promised you some science, so science is what you shall get. This week is the peak of the Perseid's meteor shower, and after some conversations with friends, I realized that very few people really understand even what a meteor shower is, how and why we can predict when they're going to happen, and what we can expect to see this week. So I really wanted to dive into it because I think it's an awesome thing to talk about. This is one of those little facts that you can easily throw around out there, show off with your friends, sound really smart, and they're a really simple concept, actually. So it's the type of thing that you can teach even to young kids, if there's any kids in your life, and you can bring them outside at night and show this to them. So it's pretty awesome. So yeah, let's get to it. First of all, I'm going to start with the basics. A meteor shower in general happens when Earth passes through a large number of small frozen rocks and different debris in space. Now, on any given night, you can watch meteorites and, less commonly, meteors light up the sky if you are anywhere with reduced light and reduced light pollution. Now, light pollution is basically any light emitted by humans, whether it's from cities or cars, highways, lamps, etc. Now, I quickly mentioned there that you can either see meteorites or meteors, which are far less common. Really, they look the same in the sky. The only difference is a meteor actually lands, basically. They hit the ground. A meteorite burns up in the atmosphere. And I've actually found that you can have really good luck if you know what you're looking for. With good conditions, while sky watching, you can spot 1 or 2 meteorites in a night full of stargazing without an active meteor shower. Just any old day of the week. There have been times where I've been seeing 1, 2, and 2 is a good night, but 1 is kind of a normal night. Of course, days go by where you don't see any, but you'll see one or two every once in a while if you spend your nights outside looking up, which is something last week that I told you should all be doing, is looking up. However, this whole week, we are in a meteor shower. It is meteor shower season. That's right. On Earth, we have spring, summer, fall, winter, and meteor shower. It is meteor shower season, and this is the best time to see them. But why? Well, currently, we are passing through a debris field, which is caused by a comet that we have named 109P, is its numerical and alphanumerical name, or it's also more commonly known, colloquially at least, as the Swift-Tuttle Comet, named after the two people who individually identified it. Now, unfortunately, the peak night has passed us by. It was actually last night, which was the 12th of August, into this morning. But that doesn't mean it's over. So it can still be seen as many as 30 to 50 meteorites an hour, with fewer and fewer the farther you go through the week. But last night, if you were looking, you could have seen up to 100 an hour. But even still, you can expect to see about one every minute and a half, which is incredible. It's still an awesome thing that you should totally see. The awesome visuals are created with the aforementioned rock debris when it collides with our atmosphere, because this is something that a lot of people don't really think about, but we are actually hurtling through space, right, on this ball. And the rocks are also hurtling through space. And when we collide with them, at least relative to us, these rocks are moving at a speed of 132,000 miles, or 212,000 kilometers per hour. Now, I tell you both of those numbers, but none of us can really fathom exactly what 212,000 kilometers is any more than someone could fathom 132,000 miles an hour. So this extreme speed allows even the smallest items to just burn up so brightly and just light up the night sky. And larger items, which there are every once in a while some larger rocks that get through into the atmosphere, they create a dramatic image as they come crashing, generally safely, down to Earth's surface. And it is fantastic to see. So really, the question is, what are you looking for? And for those of you who don't know, I love stargazing. There's a telescope, a beautiful telescope in my backyard. I live kind of out in the country, so I have very low light pollution here. We have a fantastic view of the sky, and some parts, like the northeastern sort of side of the property, there's a lot of trees, but we can see in all other directions. And yeah, I absolutely love stargazing. So I've had people say to me something like, I think I saw one once, I think I saw a meteor flying through the sky, but it might have been a plane, it might have been a satellite. And what I always say is, folks, you will know when you see one. They are, last year, I brought my mother out for the Perseid's meteor shower. It actually was on a Saturday night last year, so it worked out well. And honestly, right, she was like, was that one? And then, oh my God, I just saw one. Because right away, it's literally a flaming piece of rock flying through the atmosphere. And when I tell you that, when you see it, you'll know it, because they're so much lower than satellites. They don't look like a star flying through the sky. Like a satellite looks like a star moving its way across, right? But this is actually something falling. So they're at roughly 45 miles above the surface of the Earth. So they are far closer than satellites, which are closer to 100, right? These things are close. They're more than half the distance closer to us than things in orbit. It's crazy. And right away she knew, oh, that was one for sure. So if you go out, you'll know right away when you see them. They are one of the coolest occurrences that we can rely on, and it's one of the beautiful reminders, really, of how much we rely on our planet and its thick atmosphere to survive, because without these miles and miles of gases surrounding the Earth to burn these things up, we would be being pelted with them. Like, the moon right now is being pelted with these small asteroids. So it would suck to live on the moon right now. Now, that's just a side note on space travel that a lot of people don't think about. So I mentioned how the few meteors that get through are generally safe. So usually when they land on the planet, there's no damage done. And honestly, there have never been any reported deaths caused by meteors or meteorites on humans. So if you were to get hit, it would be by a molten rock moving faster than a bullet. So depending on the size, and it might not even be depending on the size, any size, I'm fairly certain it would hurt and likely kill you. Most likely kill you. However, that is very unlikely. So unlikely that the billions and billions of humans that have ever lived have never once recorded being killed by a rock falling from space. Although, what a way to go. So it's very unlikely, and to be honest with you, you're equally at risk outside watching as you are in your house. Because if you think about it, those walls ain't going to stop a rock falling from space. It is going right through your house, right through your head. So don't forget, meteor showers happen 24 hours a day. We just can't see it until the sunlight is gone. There is no reason really to be afraid of a meteor shower. You don't have to worry, like, can I bring the kids to this? It's cool. It's just like going outside on any other night. You're just as likely to die from an asteroid, or a meteor, I should say, tonight as you were yesterday night, as you are a random night in December, okay? So there are, however, interestingly, some scientists who believe that it may have been a large object from this specific meteor shower, the Perseid's meteor shower, that was responsible for at least one of Earth's previous mass extinctions. Now, there's a lot of debate on this. There's actually two Earth extinctions that they believe happened midsummer, roughly around the time that this meteor would have been, or this asteroid stream. It's a comet stream. I keep using too many words. That this comet stream that we are flying through would have produced a meteor shower. So there's a lot of debate. Like I said, we can neither prove it nor disprove it, but they believe that a massive object was in this stream that Earth passed through, and one of those massive objects crashed down and hit the planet and killed everything here. So it is possible. But one thing all of us can agree on is that there is always the chance that a massive object does exist within this asteroid stream that we are unaware of. It is completely possible. But where exactly is that asteroid right now, that massive one at the center? And why is it that all we can see is a stream of debris? Well, currently, the 16-mile or 26-kilometer across main asteroid, the Swift-Tuttle Comet, is currently very, very far away. And it will not be passing by Earth in any of our lifetimes, so we don't need to worry about the massive object hitting us. We need to worry about smaller ones in there hitting us. However, its next approach is set for the year 2126. The last approach was in 1996, and its orbit is estimated to actually be coming closer to Earth every time it passes right now. And scientists have set the chance of impact at 1 in 1 million in the year 4479. And that's the closest we can really measure it. But, you know, the comet is listed actually right now as the most dangerous object currently known to humanity. So it is a serious risk to life on Earth. But why is it leaving behind this cloud of dust? Because that's what causes the meteor shower. It's this massive comet blasting its way through the sky, leaving behind all this stuff. Well, as an asteroid, or in this case, a comet, comes closer to the sun, it begins to warm up, and the heat allows them to break apart, leaving behind this trademarked burning trail blazing behind them. That's what makes it a comet. when you view a comet through a telescope, you can actually see this tail, and they're very difficult to view through a telescope. I've never been able to see one myself, unfortunately, but I've seen photos. They are super cool. You should totally look up comet images through telescope. Just visual light. It's not like an X-ray or an infrared telescope, just a normal telescope. And you can see this beautiful, almost triangle shape as they fly through the sky, because as they come closer to the sun, everything that makes up this big block in the sky basically starts to heat up and burn, right? And as it melts off, it leaves this trail behind. And this tail, it's actually a tail that we call it, is made of rock and now refrozen gas, right? Because it burns as it's flying through the sun, and then it freezes again because it's fallen off the object and it just kind of floats in space. And all of this it leaves behind, and eventually we blast our way on the Earth through this massive path that this comet once took. And the easiest way to think of it is like this. As if a car is racing around the globe on a straight road, which we have to cross that road every year, right? We as a person have to cross that road every year. And now the car comes by every 133.28 years. And we cross every year. And we can't slow down and it can't slow down, right? Well, the odds of us getting through unharmed are very good, right? There are 132 years that we can cross without hitting it. But statistically, there will come an unfortunate day where we mistime our crossing, or at least it is possible that we mistime our crossing. And we happen to be crossing the road as the race car is coming towards us, and it blinks us right out of existence. Now, we as on the Earth won't be blinked out of existence, but we as humans would certainly be blinked out of existence. If an object this large, it's roughly 27 times the impact asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs at, I believe, the end of the Cretaceous period it was. So 27 times the size of that, right? Like, you're talking about setting off all nuclear bombs on the planet at the same time twice. That's how powerful this impact would be. But, like I said, right now, this is not our problem. So, for now, we can actually just look up and enjoy, because hopefully, if I get my way, we figured out how to divert asteroids if there's a chance this hits us in a few thousand years. So tonight, I implore you, because there's only a few nights left to do this year, to get out to where there is little light, bring a blanket or a reclining camping chair, and allow your eyes about 30 minutes in the dark to adjust without your phones, leave your phones at home, and enjoy the show. Because think about it this way, if this is the reason that humanity ends, we might as well just enjoy the performance for today, right? This week in What the Fuck, a man, or they believe it may even be a group of men that are doing this, wearing an old TV on his head, has taken to the Virginia streets at night and begun placing old TVs on people's front doorsteps without any apparent reason. These people didn't ask for these TVs, and he didn't tell them he was bringing them. He just started bringing them. And yeah, it's very interesting. So far, 60 TVs have been hand-delivered to unknowing recipients, a few of which had security cameras. That's how we know this masked gentleman is wearing a TV on his head. And police are actively searching for TV Man. So if you have any leads, please let me know, because I'd love to talk to him, and I need a plug. That was a really bad TV joke. I could have come up with something better than that. The town of Rachel, Rachel, I think it's Rachel. I'm going to go with Rachel. I could have looked it up, right? It's 2019. Beside Area 51, have warned people, the citizens have warned people not to come to the music festival, which is apparently taking the place of the Raid Area 51 event in September 21st, I believe the day is. And so basically the guy who originally created that, what he's now saying was a joke Facebook page, he's trying to start a music festival in the town to get everyone to come and appreciate aliens and extraterrestrials and just be kind and love one another. And there's artists and music and food and games and fun. I don't really know. So, but it's some sort of music festival that he's trying to put together. However, town residents are quite worried. In fact, they're saying that they don't believe there are any real plans and that there's no music planned. So they're essentially calling this a scam, that there have been no headline artists and only a few unknown visual artists have announced that they will have installations there. So a lot of residents think, or at least are saying publicly, that this is a scam. I, however, can see right through their government bullshit because Hillary Clinton probably paid them off and got them to sell their souls to the devil in order to tell us that this is fake. This is real, people. We need to invade Area 51 and get them aliens. Please don't raid Area 51, because let's be honest, if they have aliens, they've long moved them. You know, when everyone was first talking about Area 51, they would have been like, fuck, let's move them to Area 52. You know, like, come on. So don't forget to subscribe and share to the podcast. I can't even talk. Don't forget to subscribe and share the podcast with your friends and family. Tell them all about it. Mention it at work and make sure they know all about the incredible catalog of content that is available completely ad-free every Tuesday evening. Tell them to download it Wednesday morning and tell them to subscribe so it's automatically downloaded, right? That's what everyone should be doing. Everyone should be subscribing and sharing it on social media every single week to let the world know. As always, I would like to thank you all so much for the support. Feel free to reach out to me absolutely anytime using the contact page over at www.laughtolearnpodcast.com or on social media. All of my social media feeds can be found in the description to this episode on your podcast platform of choice. My name is Jacob Paveo, and yeah, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Because I got into it, I'm going to quickly off book here talk about that Raid Area 51 thing. Maybe I should do a rant on it one day, but I'm just going to quickly mention that there is no way in hell there are any aliens in Area 51 today. Absolutely no way. And this is how you know that, right? Is because all of us know that there are supposed to be aliens there. So all the people who actually are hiding aliens there would have fucking moved them a long time ago somewhere that we don't know about. So now we're all looking at Area 51 like laser beam focus, like they've got to be there. Like, no, man, they might have been there. I don't think they were, but a lot of people do. And even if they were there, they're sure as shit not there now. So yeah. Please don't raid Area 51. You're going to get shot. I guarantee you someone is getting shot by the American government that day. People are going to be all upset about it, but like you cannot go onto a federal base like that, running and screaming and kicking and yelling, trying to find the aliens. Earlier this year, in late January, early February, I don't remember exactly which it was, a man was actually shot and killed by the Air Force for trying to get into Area 51. They give you a warning, and then they fucking shoot you. And even if there are 100 of you running, they will fucking mow you down like you're at fucking Vimy Ridge, okay? And if everyone who's not a Canadian may not know, Vimy Ridge is one of the big battles that the Canadians won back in the war. Yeah, so don't go to Area 51, folks. Please do not go to Area 51. I can't lose no listeners. I can't lose my listeners. Not to Area 51, I can't. To close out the show, I'm going to get into a rant, and this is going to be a bit of a longer one. And I'm going to start with a rather graphic video. And by graphic, I don't mean like XXX graphic, I mean swearing graphic. So in a second. I'm going to stop the recording, tell you exactly how long it is in case you want to skip it. But essentially, it is Chris Cuomo, who is one of CNN's, he might actually be their highest paid host. He's certainly a major anchor on CNN if you don't know. But you've probably seen him somewhere, even if you're not really into news and politics. He's everywhere. And basically, he was in an establishment of some sort. It seems like a nice establishment. And a gentleman called him Fredo, which, of course, Fredo is the younger brother in Scarface that disappoints the family. And that is something that people on the right have been calling Chris Cuomo because he's Italian, and it's kind of... He claims that it's racist, which you'll hear in a second, and we'll get into that briefly. But I want to play this to you because this gets into a topic that Meghan McCain actually brought up on Twitter that I want to get to. So... first of all, I'll be back in a second to tell you how long the video is, in case you want to skip it, and then I will be back to talk about what we heard. So if you skip ahead to roughly 29:10, it'll bypass all the profanity. I'll see you on the other side.
I thought that's who you were.
No, punk-ass bitches from the right call me Fredo. My name is Chris Cuomo. I'm an anchor on CNN. Fredo is from The Godfather. He was that weak brother. And they use it as an Italian aspersion. Any of you Italian? Are you Italian? It's a fucking insult to your people. It's an insult to your fucking people. It's like the N-word for us. Is that a cool fucking thing?
You're a much more reasonable guy in person than you seem to be on television.
Yeah, but if you want to play, then we'll fucking play. If you got something you want to say about what I do on television, then say it. But don't fall me a fucking insult.
Hey, listen.
What?
I don't want any problems.
Yeah, you're going to have a big fucking problem.
What's the problem?
It's a little different on TV. Don't fucking insult me like that.
I didn't insult you.
You call me Fredo. It's like I call you punk bitch. You like that? You want that to be your nickname?
I didn't call you that.
You called me Fredo. You know my name's not fucking Fredo.
I thought your name was.
You did not think my name was fucking Fredo. Don't be a liar.
I thought your name
You want to be a
was.
man, stand up like a man.
I'm standing up, man.
You want to be a man, I'm
Yeah,
here.
I'm standing
Then
up.
fucking own it. Then own what you said.
Man, hey.
Then own what you said.
Listen, man, I don't have a problem with you, man.
Yeah, you're going to have a fucking problem.
What? What are you going to do about it?
I'll fucking ruin your shit.
something then.
I'll
Do
fucking
something.
throw you down these stairs like a fucking punk.
Please do.
Why, so
Come
you
on,
can
you don't wanna
fucking
do
sue?
that. You don't wanna
So you
do
can
that.
fucking sue?
Well, why don't you do it
Go
then?
take a swing. You want to call me Fredo? Take a fucking swing.
I'm not gonna swing
Take
at
a
you.
fucking
I'm
swing.
not gonna
Watch your
swing.
fucking hands.
I'm not gonna
Take a
swing.
swing. Watch your
Hey,
fucking
I'm not
hands.
gonna swing.
Take a swing.
I'm
No,
not
come on,
gonna-
boy.
I'm not
Come
gonna
on, boy.
fight you.
So you want to call me shit? Call me shit then.
Hey, listen, man,
I'm right
I'm not
fucking
doing
here.
anything.
I'll fucking wreck your shit. I'll fucking wreck your shit.
Stop.
You didn't know what you were doing when
I
you
thought
called
it
me
was your
Fredo?
name, man.
You didn't.
I thought it was your name.
You didn't know, right? Hey, you didn't know what you were saying, right?
I thought it was his name.
I'm
breaking it up.
So, as I mentioned, Chris Cuomo is a CNN news anchor, and he is quite offended by what he's hearing now. If you want to get into that conversation, you can go onto the internet, but essentially, I'm going to give you my quick 30-second breakdown because I don't really want to talk too long about his rant specifically. But I think, first of all, calling an Italian person Fredo is not like using the N-word. That's a total dumbass thing to say. But at the same time, I think someone approached him in public, was an asshole, and he told them to go fuck themselves, and it's not a news story. So, honestly, that's what I think about it. However, Meghan McCain, as I mentioned at the top, made a tweet that wrote a tweet. Do you make a tweet? Do you tweet a tweet? I don't really know. But I found this very interesting. So I wanted to talk about it. And she said on Twitter, quote, however you feel about however you feel about Chris Cuomo's behavior today, there's not one woman in all of media who could be filmed in public on an obscenity-filled tirade and be supported by their network and the public in the way he is right now. Men get to be tough and swear. Women are, quote, unhinged, unquote. End tweet quote. And so I thought that's a fascinating perspective. And the reason that I think so is because I think she's absolutely correct. I think that right now, given the way of the world, we do not undervalue women. I don't think that we do. the pay gap, every actual study shows you that it doesn't exist. I mean, we've talked about stuff like this at length on this show. However, one thing that is absolutely true is most people, men and women, are extremely put off, and I'm not talking about sexually, I mean just from a personality perspective, they are extremely put off by a woman who uses profanity, a woman who speaks freely, a woman who speaks her mind. It draws a lot of negative attention. And I thought it was really interesting that Meghan McCain was tweeting this as a co-host of The View, because The View gets a whole lot of shit because it is 4 women, sometimes 5 or whatever, talking at a table about politics. And that's just something that's completely unheard of, unprecedented, really anywhere in the world. You don't see that anywhere. There's a few shows that have spun off trying to be The View, but The View this year was the most watched daytime television show. It was voted as the most powerful political show by People magazine. That's fucking crazy. I think Forbes had it as the most powerful political show as well. I mean, it is a big deal, and it is all women talking about politics. But if you read online, you would think that show does fucking shit, because a lot of people hate it. They hate it. And why do they hate it? Because it's fucking women. That's why they do. There's no point in beating around the bush. That's why people don't like The View. If you, and I mean, like, I because I watch it. Because I think that it's a fascinating perspective. Like, there's nowhere else that I can go outside of friends of mine to find out what women think about what's going on in politics. If I want to know what a man thinks, I can fucking go absolutely anywhere. I mean, anywhere. Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, ABC, fucking LMNOP, any goddamn television network, website, any TV show. I can find I can find men giving me their perspective. And I also don't think, I truly don't think that a woman's perspective on politics is that different than a man's perspective. I really don't. However, I'll just say quickly on that point that the reason I come to that conclusion is because I can have just as rational conversations about politics with women as I can with men. So in that sense, you kind of also have to come to the conclusion that a lot of women think the same way as men, and vice versa. A lot of men think the same way as women. And to think any differently, honestly, is, I'm not even going to say it's sexist, it's just fucking stupid to think any other way. So when you hear the women on The View telling you what they think about what's going on in politics today, the way that I look at it is they're simply reiterating what the entire nation feels, what the people feel, right? Like, that's what they are paid to do, is just talk about how the people feel. And if you look at the cast on that show, I'm going into a rant on The View right now, but I'll get off this quickly. But if you look at the cast on that show, they're so diverse from different backgrounds. Some come from super rich families. Some come from super poor families. They hang out with people with less than what they have sitting on that table. Others, like you look at someone like Meghan, who grew up in a super powerful political family, is friends with mostly wealthier and well-to-do people, but they can all sit down together and talk about it as women. Now, if any one of those women was caught in a restaurant telling someone that they can go fuck themselves and that they're a punk-ass bitch who are about to get thrown down a staircase, they would lose their job. They would have. They would have lost their job first thing this morning. And this was already main news story on every TV channel and every website, but they would have lost their job. Chris Cuomo ends up the number one story on Fox, right? If this was any female member of The View, which is the most watched daytime TV show, remember, right? They're the most powerful women in television right now. They would have lost their jobs. And that's fucked. So then I've been racking my head on this all day trying to figure out, ultimately, why that's the case. Because we've, outside, honestly, of like pretty much Fox News and, really, Fox News is the only news channel that still overly sexualizes women. And if you don't believe me, watch Fox and then watch CNN. On CNN, you'll see women wearing like pantsuits. And on Fox, you're like, look, titties. Straight up. I know guys who watch Fox News because there are fucking smoking hot women talking to you. That's why they watch it. And ultimately, there's really nothing wrong with that. That is a viable, useful business model. But those women who are going out of their way to give their opinions, whether it's the sexy girl on Fox or the well-mannered girl on local television, right, who just sits at that desk with some other person and gives her opinion on the news of the day, both of those girls can't do this in public. Not even would they need someone else to do it, because if their husband did it or boyfriend or father did something like this, it would fall on them. And it would be, oh, she can't defend herself. Why can't she defend herself? Her father attacked someone. She didn't stop it. And then if she did it, it would be she's fucking crazy. She's a lunatic. She's aggressive. She's angry. She's no longer attractive. And when she becomes no longer attractive, she becomes someone who cannot be watched. You can't watch her anymore. And it's something that only women face. And it's fascinating. It's a fascinating part of society to look at that I honestly don't understand. Because to me, if you're doing a job, like I said at the top, I don't see any problem with what Chris Cuomo did. And if this was a woman that did it, I would kind of feel the same way, where I'm like, well, get the fuck out of her face, right? So I looked for examples, and I can only find women reacting like this who are comedians, really. Because it's a female comedian can do this. A female comedian can openly speak her mind and tell someone to go fuck themselves and not give a single solitary shit, because that's what they do every night, right? They stand on stage and deal with hecklers, and we see them talking about things that are rather untoward, right? But someone who lives their life in the television realm, I even think that there's like podcasters, like female podcasters, who could get away with this, and their fans would be like, yeah, like, she's right, because she can speak her mind completely openly. I still think we're at a point in time where women in television can't. Men seem to be able to, but women don't. They seem to still have to sort of fall in line. They need to follow a pre-established idea of what they are. And I'm not saying that they're choosing this, nor am I saying someone's choosing this for them. I think what it comes down to is to make it in the entertainment industry, which is even political commentary is still the entertainment industry. I think it appears to me that women don't have a choice, that they have to agree fully with one thing or another, that they have to fit a particular mold, right? You don't see a girl who talks like Cardi B talking about politics. Not on television. But there are podcasts. There are YouTube series. There are people like who are like ratchet ass girls who know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to politics. The problem is TV stations don't want them. Media companies, I should say, don't want them because it's too risky that a girl will pop off. But if a guy pops off, that's fine and it's normal. And honestly, I keep saying it, but I don't get it. I do not understand how in a society where everyone rags on and on and on about equality and how we have to treat everyone the same and women can do what men do and men need to treat women as if they are one and the same in the workplace, why is it that when it comes to our media, we still don't? And I'm not even referring to sexualization of women. I'm simply referring to the fact that, as Megan McCain said in her tweet, "There's not one woman in all of media who could be filmed in public on an obscenity-filled tirade and be supported by both their network and the public in the way he is right now." Because CNN came right to his defense, saying this was an inappropriate comment that was made and he was defending himself. And the public came out and said, "We agree," just like I just said. Like, I absolutely agree that if I was him, I would have been like, first of all, where's my security? Because it took them way too long to get there. And because he's rich as hell. He travels with security. I have no question about that. He has threats on his life and stuff. So there's no question that he has security with him. So where the hell were they? But second to that is, why is it that this happened in the first place? Like, why is it that when someone calls him Fredo, which was offensive to him, anyone would get upset by that, right? Like, anyone would be upset that he said that to this guy. And then you see, like, no woman could do it. No woman could defend herself. And what if this was physical, right? Because if he punched that guy, he would have been arrested. But if a woman hit him, it would be the opposite. If a woman escalated it to a point of violence, right, even if she punched first, it would mean that the guy who started it was in the wrong. But if she kept it simply verbal, she would be in the wrong. It's so backwards. It's so backwards because the reason that we don't see these videos with women is because they have to put their heads down and walk away. Because if they are not willing to go all the way and start the fight, they are not going to have the public support. And no women who is at that level of fame and that level of success, really, not necessarily fame, but success, is going to put their whole career on the line because of one asshole in public. Just like Chris Cuomo was never going to throw the guy down the stairs like he said. He was never going to do that. There's no chance, literally no chance that ever happens. And the guy knew it. But why is it that because he didn't, he gets support? But if it was a woman and she didn't, she just kept verbal, she would have been a bitch. She should have fucking walked away. Keep your fucking head down, eat your food, or leave the restaurant. Get on your way. But if she threw down with the guy, it would have been accepted. It's a fascinating and very strange thing in our society that I think we need to sort out. I think that we really need to look at it as a problem. And it's the sort of problem that affects each and every one of us. Because it's not just stardom that it impacts, like quote-unquote stardom. Because if your sister is in the mall or your mother is in the mall and some man starts shit with her, right? Trying to hit on her, she keeps walking away and he's like, "Hey, bitch, get the fuck back here." If she turns around and pops off on him, she's the asshole. 9 times out of 10, she's the asshole. But if he walks up to her, gets in her face, and she slaps him in the face, all of a sudden people take her side. Even though he beats the fuck out of her in the middle of the mall, and it takes, a minute for a group of guys to get him off her and beat the fuck out of him, she still had the fuck beat out of her, and that's the only way that she's ever viewed as in the right. I don't know. It's something that I think everyone should seriously think about because I look at it as a serious flaw in society. Anyways, we are just coming up. I believe I have some things to edit out, so we're just coming around the 45-minute mark, so I will call it a week. And I will thank you all for listening. Thank you. Seriously, thank you all for listening. It's really awesome that I have people who want to hear what I have to say. And I really encourage you to take these discussions outside into the real world with your friends, especially with the meteor shower. Don't forget, you have to do that this week. Otherwise, it slows down and it won't be a whole year before this one comes back. And this is the best one of the year to see. And I'll give a shout out every time another meteor shower comes up. We get about 3 or 4 every year. It just depends on the year. But I'll let you know the next one. I don't think there's one until the spring now, but I'll let you know when they come up. So take these discussions outside into the real world. Let your friends and family know where you heard them. Tell them there's a meteor shower. I heard it on the Laugh to Learn podcast. Or just talk about women in media and be like, yo, Jacob on the Laugh to Learn podcast was saying this, and I agree or disagree. What do you think? And in the meantime, you can follow me over on Twitter or on Instagram. If you don't have any friends, I could be your friend. You can talk to me over there or by using the contact page at www.laughtolearnpodcast.com. All of that information is in the description to this episode. As always, this podcast comes to you completely ad-free, and all that I ask is you share it with your friends and family every week and subscribe right now while you're listening. The episode's almost over. You're running out of time. Just hit that subscribe button, and it'll show up every single week for you to hear. Subscribe on every podcast app you use, all 10 of them: iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, any other podcasting app, Podcast Addict. There's a whole bunch of them. Download them all and subscribe on all of them. Or over on YouTube. And tell your friends about me. Just tell them about me every single week. Every time you see a new friend, tell them about the Laugh to Learn podcast. Until next time, folks, get out, watch the meteor showers, and don't forget to keep on laughing and keep on learning.